Gentlemen, ladies,
Are we doing it?
it's time for the semifinals. The semifinal round. Popping on over. Take a look. It's Troy versus Ben. This is a best of 3. Troy's team. We've seen it on stream before. You know it. You may love it. I don't actually know if you love it, but it's the Boom Boom Yanti variant. You know, we've actually never seen him purchase Flying, Blasting, and Slashing before.
No.
Which is kind of interesting to think.
We also have never been in the situation where he had to purchase momentum.
That is true.
We've never seen an opponent buy his actions out from under him to the extent that he needed to go in that direction.
Exactly. Now check this out. Look at this amalgamation of a team. This is Ben's team. It's got The Question. It's got Shriek, obviously. It's got Billy Club and Common Mimic because that is his favorite card of all time. He's got Morph on it. And he's got Green Devil Mask, Professor X. This team is so interesting. I am super excited to see how this goes.
I have been seeing him use Rare Morph. So Rare Morph is essentially Super Rare Mimic without the ability to change the target.
That's right. Rare Morph, and it's a foil, so we got to give him credit for running the foil version. Game 1 of the semifinals between Troy Miller and Ben Said Scott kicking off. Now, I don't normally subscribe to the whole let's talk about players' psyche things.
Sure.
But in this rare moment where something as rare as coming back from an 0-1 deficit at 5 turns left to pick up a win and then pick up a win in the 5 turns remaining, which took an extra basically round of time. I cannot imagine what Troy
has been through some things.
I cannot imagine what he's feeling and or the stress or anything like that. Check it out. We see a turn to buy a Mimic and buy an action and then prep it all, which is pretty cool.
Yep, some pretty standard things happening right now. To note, Troy got 2 Throne Bricks, Ben got 1.
That was really, really smart because Ben is the player that would buy 2 Throne Bricks.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Which is why I mentioned momentum, because I thought we were going to head that direction this game.
You called it, sir. Very, very smart. And he may actually need to.
Yeah.
Well, you called what would have happened.
Well,
and look, they're even wagging the finger at each other.
Aye.
The nice finger, not the naughty one.
Right.
They're wagging it at each other as they talk about, you're very smart. So are you.
You dog.
You devil. Look at you go.
Shriek gets purchased, spins down the
cake here. Yep.
The sidekick to a fist. Ben does have his Mimic. He also has a sidekick in the field, which, again, very important. You must have something in the field to target with Mimic.
Yep, and he does. And he does.
So he's going to name his own sidekick, which means anytime he fields a sidekick from now on until Mimic leads the field, he will prep 2 dice.
Now check this out. He's going to, on his turn, make a sidekick and prep 2 dice using the brand new promo Professor X No More Magnus, prepping 2 dice and making a body in the field. That ramp is so powerful. If you have seen him play that before, which he plays it often, he is masterful with regards to using that to his advantage to do what he needs to do.
And the real zinger on this exact team that he's running is that he adds a damage element to that ramp mechanism. So he will eventually be dealing damage while fielding sidekicks while prepping dice.
It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty wild. I cannot wait for it to get rolling. We do have a Shriek here on Troy's side and a Throne Brick, which is pretty ideal for him. He's going to want to keep those Throne Bricks prepping themselves as well as other dice.
Let me ask you this. What do you think you would Shriek in this scenario? Looking at his team list, what do you think you would Shriek?
I think I have to Shriek. I mean, so cheating. We've seen a game where Professor X got shrieked, and that worked fairly well. I think if it was me, being the potentially dense person I am in this game, I would Shriek Mimic.
You think you would Shriek Mimic here?
I think I would.
To kill the ramp a little bit?
Yeah, I think it puts a damper on the building that Ben needs to do in the next 2 turns.
Yeah. Now, we haven't even at all talked about the win condition on Ben's team, which is Green Lantern Human, at all. But the win condition, and it's partially because I think it's covered up by the overlay
card
demo
image, yeah.
But yes, his win condition for this team is Green Lantern Human. So he's looking to line up Green Lantern Human and push that to deal damage, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But if you have, Green Lantern Human and Morph, then double procs on the Green Lantern human is just insane.
Yep.
It's very reminiscent of the world's winning Yanti team, where Yanti and Super Rare Mimic combined to double up on effects that were just totally broken already by themselves. And it's very likely to do that same exact thing, which is kind of cool.
Anytime you can multiply damage instead of adding damage, it's gonna be a short game, or at least it's gonna be super punchy in chunks of damage. There's a sidekick for Ben. He's gonna draw and prep 2. He doesn't have anything in his use pot. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Mimic is shrieked.
Yeah, the call you made, being the smart person, was to shriek the Mimic, and I actually agreed with you. Shrieking the Mimic is the right play. His bag didn't really need Mimic at this very moment, so it doesn't hurt him the worst. But knowing how Ben likes to play, he loves to roll a lot of dice.
Yep.
And he loves to keep his bag super clean. Putting him just a little bit off kilter is a wise choice. Now, he's such a practiced player that it's not something that's going to throw him off too much. But if you slow him down, or if you make him make tough choices, just like any player, there's a tendency there to eventually possibly make the wrong one, right?
True. The more decisions that you're given, the more opportunity you have to make the wrong decision.
Correct.
Looks to be finishing up this main step. Thinking about how to spend this final energy, if spending it is the option. So just pass to Troy. Troy got 2 sidekicks, 4 sidekicks, 6 sidekicks, and 2 thrown bricks as his final roll here.
Do you think he wants to use these thrown bricks to prep some stuff? Because he just rolled them.
Right.
That is so.
So the idea
good.
here is the dice
good.
that you prep with this action is going to be stuff that you purchase.
Exactly. Yep. Now, he can purchase a couple of Yantis. He can purchase Boom Boom. A Boom Boom purchase here makes a ton of sense. You could even purchase Hope Summers to go along with that, and then set up to sort of OTK win, because it's going to deal just huge chunks of damage. Every thrown brick that you play is going to deal 4 if you can have both of them in the field next turn, and you are going to prep them. So you make your purchases first, and then you go ahead and prep those dice using thrown brick on any number of targets like Shriek.
Yes. We'll see here. Because again, so many options and a lot of good options, right? There's not really a bad option currently in terms of which direction do you want to steer this team. Again, you could go straight Boom Boom. You could go Hope for the flexibility, because then, again, you're sort of committing without having to commit. Hope can target Boom Boom or something else when she hits the field.
So he is picking up a Boom Boom, which is, I think, the right call. Now, the question is, do you go with a Yanti and then save some sort of a mask scenario type thing? It looks like he is thinking about doing that. Or do you just commit the 3 and the question mark being there for the Hope?
I think what we've seen of him is that he wants to straddle that line between a direct damage ping team and a Yanti unblockable team.
I think that's super wise.
Yep.
Going back and forth makes it so much harder for your opponent to lock one down.
Right. So even if you're not getting, let's call it 5 damage per action used.
Oh, and this is great. There was 1 die in the bag. Sorry to interrupt, but
nope.
He cakes so that he can then prep the rest of the dice and or cycle. So we didn't even account for the fact that he had 2 sidekicks in the bag. So he cakes first, pulls 1 out, puts it in use, then cycles back, has a better chance of drawing one of those characters.
Super well done. And he got the
and lining it up. Right?
Right.
Solid.
Stabilizes and comes through.
All right. So on this, he's just going to keep that. Fielding the Shriek, shrieking something. He's got 3. Let's see, what did he shriek? He's going to shriek the Boom Boom. That seems a lot. That seems like a really good idea. Picking up the Green Devil Mask. And reloading his bag. Drawing up is Troy. Wow, rolling 8 dice thanks to 2 thrown bricks. And again,
Troy's rolls have been sort of flawless. I mean, he hasn't really hit that adversity until now.
Well, until now, right?
But I'm saying he hadn't hit that turn of scramble. It was always pretty a straightforward line, and this turn maybe not so much. Let's
see if the reroll helps him out. We do have a shrieked Boom Boom.
Okay.
as that was the play from last turn from Ben. Other options, so you don't have to necessarily go the Boom Boom route. You can just do the Yanti unblockable kind of thing, but keep in mind that Ben has static field on his team, so he keeps a mask and just pushes the Yanti back.
Definitely.
So you're only pushing 1 damage with with a proc on Thrown Brick from Attune,
Will we see Troy reach for Mimic this time?
You mean, the flying, blasting, slashing?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Is it necessary? I don't know. You have 2 avenues of attack, and technically, if you can remove the Shriek for a turn and line that up with Hope Summers, you could have a Boom Boom Hope copy kind of thing going on, in spite of the fact that you've also got Boom Boom blanked.
By the way, what a reroll here by Troy.
Nails it. Almost nails it.
Well, he didn't
Definitely
even reroll the
yeah.
Boom Boom.
Yeah.
But one line he could take here is get a Hope, and then if Boom Boom is still blanked, you can Hope get a Mimic.
That's true. You can.
And then if Mimic, if
You would have
that
to.
removal,
You would have to field it a second time.
right?
Yeah.
But then once you get that removal potentially busted up, then you could double Boom Boom's effect.
I think he already bought a Hope, as we only see one on the. No, there's a second one. It's just hidden by the
reaches
overlap.
for the Mimic.
There's the Mimic. Good call.
This card is so good at removing things. It's not really good for much else, but it is very good at removing things.
But that's okay. That's exactly what you want a card made for. If it's a removal card, make it a really solid removal card, and that's what this is.
Right, and it has a steep upside. I mean, if you get to become a copy of the target character, that's great.
Ben takes a ping damage there, and then passes over. Troy passes over to Ben.
He said, "Ouch, that's smarts."
Green Devil Mask coming out to play. Now I forget. Are there 4 characters in the field zone
Of
on
Troy?
Troy's side?
He has a Shriek. He has.
Has he been playing around that, knowing it's coming around? That's the question. And if he hasn't, the reroll's coming soon.
Yep.
If he has, good for him, but he's now sort of chained to 3 dice in the field.
Yeah.
Or having some very awkward decisions where you have to go, okay, well, I got to do something to get my dice count to either come back up or keep it 3, which is really tough.
Right, and a couple things that could help him out here are this Professor X Global. So if you have 3 in the field and you don't really care about re-rolling them, you could bust the trap first and then field things afterwards.
Exactly. He's going to push 3 sidekicks.
In fact, he does have 3 in the field currently. We'll see if he loses any to blockers here.
That would be a smart way of getting them out of the field.
I mean, not saying he wants to use Yanti. He doesn't want to lose Yanti and Shriek, but...
So he's going to take 2 here, spinning one of those sidekicks down to a mask using the Billy Club Global has been pushing 2 damage, making it 18-18. And they're playing fast, but their time is just bleeding.
Yeah.
See that?
Nobody really has put together the 1-2 sucker punch here to really rip this game wide open, which maybe I think is just the way it's going to end, right? I think it's just going to be, we'll keep the scores close. Somebody will have an opening and take full advantage, and then the next person will have an opening, take full advantage. But it's not going to be these, 30-point swings that we've seen from other teams today.
No, I don't think you're ever. Well, I wouldn't say ever, but it's far less likely to see that in these top cuts.
Yep.
Because the players' teams are so finely tuned and they're so finely tested that they know what lines they need to take, and they're not going to overcommit, and they're not going to let their opponent sort of build up in the way that they want to have those bomb turns.
So Boom Boom gets fielded, even though it is blanked currently by Shriek. So that will bust the trap.
Yep.
We'll see what gets oh my, Shriek comes back, which is possibly the best case scenario. Or if only one was going to come back, that is maybe the one.
Yes, it is the one. Now, I would imagine he shrieked. Actually, we don't know what he shrieked. What did he shriek?
He shrieked.
Maybe.
He shrieked Mimic at the very beginning.
Oh, true. That's right. That has been maintained this whole time. So the Mimic is still shrieked up.
Also, ultra critical that Shriek stayed in the field, because now he has targets for Thrown Brick. I mean, I realize Ben had some targets for Thrown Brick too, but if he lost all of his characters, we would be having a different conversation about how this turn's going to end.
All right, let's see what he's paying 3 for. He's considering.
Maybe another Shriek just to
well,
make
he can't
sure
buy
one
Shriek because
stays.
he does have a question mark. You're right. He could definitely do that. In that scenario, it makes a lot more sense. But he's reaching for something on the left, so let's see.
Or is he?
Question mark? You know, the nice thing about this, too, is because those are going to the used, you can cycle them with the thrown brick.
True. Or, if
Spin
I
that
remember
down.
right, Supreme Intelligence, right?
That is true. Troy's is the one, and there it is, yeah, Supreme Intelligence on 1.
And you can do that on...
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, I
Once
think you can
per
do
turn.
it on both players' turns.
Yep, so he
Yep.
could move Boom Boom over with these other 2 energies if he doesn't have anything better to spend them on.
Oh, and look at this. Doing some pinging, doing some prepping. Man, it's amazing what 2 thrown bricks can do.
So versatile, especially when you have that extra damage. I mean, I realize it's not the case now, but when you have that extra 2 damage from Boom Boom that could also go to a character, Thrown Brick Boom Boom as a removal tool, not even a win condition, is still really good.
So no characters, and it's so strange because Ben, when you look at his team, it's like, what are you doing? Like, where's the win condition? And maybe this is a time where he actually goes and grabs it because he does have a good amount of energy.
Yeah, it's not necessarily as straightforward as some other teams we've seen today, which definitely are epicentered around a certain hammer that's going to eventually end the game.
Do you see how he wanted the he wanted the thrown brick because he keeps seeing Troy make use of it, and he unfortunately can't do it.
He instead gets the orange action, which is what, momentum, and because it was on its burst face, he also gets the added effect of drawing first and then re-rolling. Just pointing out a stray sidekick there in the field zone. I, as a dice flinger, totally understand losing dice up into the field. I've been criticized on more than one account that when I roll dice, I could do it in a more controlled manner.
Well, this one is an important one to catch because it could both be a benefit and detriment to both players. It sort of acts as a bag thinning if it ends up just being off somewhere, and you never want to consider yourself, in this position where you're putting someone at a loss when you just totally forgot. So it's better to catch that now.
Yep.
And it could mean that, in this moment, if he forgot that was there or didn't see that was there, he doesn't have the ability to buy certain things that he was hoping for or use certain globals.
Yeah, so now we're back into a completely level playing state, so it's good for everybody. Also, I feel like eventually he would have found it, and it would have been more awkward to find it any other time than just
Correct.
getting it right
Yeah,
now.
if you find that one turn later, what do? Do you just concede the game? Because
Right.
that's technically a rules infraction, right?
It would be almost impossible to return to this current game state. So
He's
glad
going
we
to pay
got
5.
that.
He's thinking about not paying 5, but I think paying 5 here and buying a win condition might be something that works out well for you. If you can win the game in some way, shape, or form, you're generally doing okay.
Yeah, and at what point, so if he makes this Green Lantern purchase, I think he's officially foregoing the, I'm thinking of a different team. I was thinking about Jubilee Mimic.
No, this one is just, it's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't think about this going, well, this is the clear-cut win condition, but the clear-cut win condition is literally a one-card combo with technically a second card combo.
Right.
It's literally just attack with Green Lantern Human.
And I think
then, deal the requisite damage, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So there's the buy on the Green Lantern Human.
So what I was getting around to, just in a totally misinformed way, is that the Shriek being on the Mimic, I feel like so Troy's Shriek blanking Mimic is becoming less and less important. I wonder if Troy is going to try to switch his target, or if he's going to just stick with his guns and say, you will not have that prepping ability.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm not so sure it's less and less important because it has slowed that team down to a halt. Like, what has been
True.
done the past 2 turns?
He hasn't really progressed himself.
There have been very little, if any, progressions.
But now that he has
And
removal here with Mimic,
This is
could
gonna
shake
go even.
things up enough.
So Troy is positioning himself rather well because he can remove in this moment the Shriek. Remove the well, unfortunately. There's a Yanti in the used. That one's over in used. I believe.
There's a question. I don't know, to be honest. I thought maybe it was.
This is a strange question. Did he roll that in this turn?
Chat, what did you see?
Oh, see, this is.
I think it is. I
This
think he
is the
actually did roll
danger.
that.
Someone let us know in chat. Was that rolled?
I think it wouldn't have caught my eye if I didn't see it go over there. but maybe I am misinformed.
We will find out. Someone, eagle-eyed viewer in chat, re-rolled the tape, see if that was rolled or if that was somehow left over. I would imagine it would be re-rolled because his bag is
pretty well
full
kept,
of stuff,
yeah.
right? So he's going to re-roll. Oh
my! It
this
becomes
is actually,
a shriek.
I think this is actually poor because I think that maintains the blank. I believe because
he's
that
fielded
shriek
a
knocked
new
the shriek.
shriek. No, he didn't field
because
a new
that,
shriek.
That copies completely. Yes, it was rolled. Good. No infractions.
So we are thinking right now that mimic is maintaining the blank from Ben's side. Is that what you're saying?
I believe it does, if I remember correctly, which is a bit bonkers, but
It's a bit bonkers.
I can double check my
Yeah, pull the card
thing on
text
that.
for the slashing whatever-ish. Again, this Mimic is a super cool card, and I appreciate that it's a 4 cost, because I think at 3 it would be absolutely busted, but as it sits, it is awesome. So now Boom Boom is free to do crazy things like damage. Now that Shriek is gone, Boom Boom is cut loose. Each of these thrown bricks that Troy's going to use, he's going to deal 2 damage to a character or player. He's also purchasing a Hope Summers, which is going to, in theory, he's going to use Hope Summers to gain the text of Boom Boom and officially be a second copy of that effect in the field. He's going to use Throne Brick on the Mimic and the second one as well. Neither one will kill it because it is a Shriek. Interesting line. Did we get that text?
So I don't believe, because this is just becoming a copy of it, I don't think this one would remember the fact that it's a Shriek holding some other blank. So I doubt it is, but they haven't removed that thing, the blanking thing. I think I've had this conversation before, so I'm going out on a limb and saying that it does maintain it, but that is possibly taken. Good, they caught up with me as well. I was hoping that they removed it and that I wasn't going crazy. But after reading the relevant card text, I do think it would not retain it, even though it's a copy of said die.
Nice. So this is a 3/2, I think, Shriek. Are the stats on the Mimic technically?
No, I don't believe. I don't know. It does copy the stats. That's true. It does copy level for level as well. So you would have to check the level. So I think that's the top side Mimic. So it would gain the
3/3.
top side Shriek stats. So it would be a 3/3.
Ben rolling the nuts here. He literally gets everything he needs except for enough
good.
energy to field everything. He does have a fixer for a sidekick, so he
Now
can
the question
field
is, do you
all
want your
of it.
win condition or do you want your blanking target here?
Well, with the Billy Club, he could have both. We'll see what line he takes here. The actions again, the blue one is Throne Brick, the orange is Momentum. So gonna be able to essentially, in theory, double his Throne Brick efficiency thanks to Momentum.
Oh, true, it is. So when you play Momentum here, you're going to be able to re-roll the dice that are in your KO'd or your prep area. So as long as he lands an energy, which he does, and he gets to use it again, how fun. This is the beauty of Momentum plus
Throne Brick.
Throne Brick.
Also, just an aside, if Momentum was on Double Burst, he'd be able to prep a die first and then re-roll everything there. Technically, you get to choose any number of dice in your prep or KO to re-roll. So Ben has all of his, which is funny to say. Like you said, his team seems so disjointed, but really it's not. It's just a wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will.
That is a great analogy for that team, particularly for the person playing it, because when you look at it, you go, what is going on?
Right.
And then when you realize, oh, but we know Ben's track record and his results being a 2-time world champion in Canada or national champion in Canada and the UK. So we know he's a good player. And
Not to mention
what he's
a
doing.
2-time side event champion
Yes.
at Graceland 2019 World Championships.
That's right.
Yeesh, not the role Troy's looking for here. He needs Hope. Well, he doesn't need Hope Summers. He would love Hope Summers, and he really needs these Throne Bricks, though. Sort of the essence of his team in terms of both the Boom Boom damage and the unblockable Yanti damage.
Welcome to the stream if you're watching, by the way, from faraway places from across the pond, wherever you're watching from, welcome to the stream. If you're just now tuning back in, you're awesome.
After a short nap or so.
After a short nap, exactly.
There we go. Hope Summers on character face. He did not get a single
action,
though.
Now, Boom Boom is blanked, so that part doesn't matter. But the fact that it has 0 actions is definitely a pain.
Right. It's sort of like breaking his ramp. I realize it's not as what am I trying to say? It's not as straightforward as the person who stops PXG globaling first will lose the game, but
it's
this
sort
does
of
break in the
ramp.
same tier.
Particularly because that was managing his back so well.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's not.
It was reliable. Also, Yuanti will not be unblockable this turn, which means she's just going to hang out in the field, I imagine.
Now, I'm not sure if a mask was kept on Ben's side. But
I don't know that either.
Then he may just have a mask to push back the Mimic that's in the field, because obviously Troy wants to get that Mimic out of the field so he can use the effect again.
Which Ben and I were talking after the 6 rounds of Swiss, and I was saying, man, so many ties. What do you think? And it was a combination of factors. We think there's a place in the meta currently where certain matchups aren't able to overcome each other, but they are able to stall long enough. And he said one of the contributing factors was the static field global. He said if you think in a matchup you can't win or you won't win for a long time, you can stay alive with that static field global for a long time.
That is true. Now the question here is, does anyone have a position or a posture to pick up finish this game and then pick up a quick win before they move to time? Which is kind of crazy.
Right. This best of 3 format after the cut is definitely, it requires another layer of thinking. You have to manage your time across these potentially 3 games. Because if you think about it, we've been playing half-an-hour rounds in Swiss, and a lot of them had been going to time. We're going to try to play 3 games in 50 minutes. So the crunch is there.
It really is. It really is. It may not sound like it's really, really tight in the time frame window, but yeah, when you look at it from that perspective of a one game 30-minute time limit to 3 games and not even double that time limit, you're really having to kind of crunch those games in.
Green Devil Mask is activated here. Troy gets his streak back again,
but he doesn't get the Boom Boom, which is okay with him because it's blanked.
Right, and he still has the rest of his turn to take here, which again, we were talking about that method of busting the trap, re-rolling your field, and then take the rest of your turn. Sort of use your turn advantage to salvage what can be kept here. Also, those dice, yeah. So use Supreme Intelligence Global right there to already move, again, salvage what got rolled out. The Boom Boom is now ready for next turn. There's still a Hope Summers that needs to be fielded. Maybe he's trying to figure out his target for that. It could become a Boom Boom. It could become a Mimic. Or a Polaris. We have not seen him reach for Polaris either to this game.
Now, it's not really useful here because there's not a wealth of globals being used on either of these teams, right? They both have things like Throne Brick, and they don't really care about prep globals and that sort of thing.
Especially repeated globals. It's definitely a tech piece against things that are going to be spamming the same global.
Yeah, exactly. This is not Iceman. Well, this is clearly a tech for Iceman, and he's not needing to go and buy it. It is a dead card on this, sort of in this matchup, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and it's not necessary to go for here. He's going to field that Hope. It does not have a target, so it's just going to come into the field and be a character, which is unfortunate for him.
Well, the Hope can target any X-Men card, right?
Correct. So it can target. Sorry, it targets the card.
It can be a Mimic.
Correct.
I think
it can target that.
If it was a Mimic, he would have just
No, because remember.
Oh, right. It got to field another one then after.
That's right. A win fielded effect when copied by Hope you have to field a second one because the win fielded window is already taken up by the copying portion.
Green Devil Mask is back.
Oh, back with the vengeance. Look at it go.
Ben didn't roll his Throne Brick.
Maybe one day he'll roll a Throne Brick.
I was about to say, I think Troy, when Ben bought that out from under Troy, I think Troy whispered in its little dice ear and it said, never roll.
That is quite possible.
Troy the Dice Whisperer. I think I could get behind that.
We could start that.
He needs a t-shirt.
We all need a t-shirt for this.
I
This has been a
agree.
wonderful...
Oh my gosh, no Throne Brick.
One of these days.
Yep.
There is going to trigger immediately. Let's see. See what happens. Oh, there's the streak is gone.
Ouch.
Yanti sticks around. The rest of it goes to use. That's going to be an upside down bag.
So Ben still has a sidekick he can field here, and since Mimic is now unshrieked,
Yeah, it's going to prep.
it's going to prep
And
too.
this is where all that stuff that we talked about with his team being so much slower, now he can start speeding it back up. He doesn't have to worry too much about keeping the sidekicks in the field as long as he can keep the Mimic thing going. And it's quite possible that's going to happen. We shall definitely see. Now, you want to win the game by killing your opponent, and he's not doing too much damage just pushing the the Green Lantern human, because it's really going to deal absolutely nothing in this scenario. Or perhaps it deals 2 masks. I forget, is Green Lantern human a mask? I believe it is. So in this case, it would deal 2 if he pushed it, and then he could blink 1 back with a mask. Paying a shield for a second momentum, which is a solid thing. Yeah, Green Lantern Human is a mask, as you can see by the nice little overlay provided by good old Ryan Slater. He used the Pay 2 global on Troy's card on Supreme Intelligence to prep over said momentum. He's pushing for some damage. Look at him go. It's going to deal 2 damage, and then he has to decide, well, do I want to let him push that damage, or do I want to try to block it? If he blocks here, then he's going to KO that Yanti. If he does not block, nope. Oh, he let it go through. Okay, he just wants to deal that damage. I think he's smelling blood in the water or something to that effect. That is in his bag. He's sort of banking on him not drawing Shriek, and it turns out he doesn't. Because if Troy drew Shriek, it would have been very lucky, but also 2, just gone right back to shutting down that ramp, and that die he let go through to the used and deal 6 damage would have been so much slower to come through the bag. In this case, though, he's not worrying about that at all, because all you need to do is Professor X make a sidekick and then prep 2 dice from there, which is solid. Sidekick comes up. You got your action die back online there.
Yeah, as per usual, Troy rolls his Throne Brick, and Ben cannot roll his.
But it's interesting you say that, because he's had wonderful Throne Brick usage this entire time, and yet, the one time he doesn't, and Ben puts on 6 damage on the following turn, plus 2 damage from the ping, dropping him below Troy below Ben in life total, and giving ramp back. So that sort of 2-turn swing was huge.
Right.
And I think Ben saw that it was going to be huge and sort of exploited that.
Sure, got to capitalize when you have your openings.
Because he knew, well, 1, Shriek was gone thanks to GDM, and he also knew that that bag was going to be upside down with no ramp going into it. He's going to try to force his way through that bag going forward. A lot of fielding sidekicks is what he has to do to get his way back through that bag. Buying a second Boom Boom.
Yeah, his current one hasn't been rolling very well. Just got to buy another.
Swap it out. There you go. Well, it doesn't matter because it's shrieked.
Yeesh.
So, if he could, however, get his shriek out and shriek the shriek, a sentence we've never said before.
Right.
But if you could shriek a shriek for some reason,
sure,
then you could get your Boom Boom open, get your Hope Summers fielded, and then deal 4, 8, 2 pings for the attune damage, and then push a lethal attacker with Yanti for 13 plus whatever you can maybe sneak through.
So Troy's just waiting on his Mimic to come back through.
Right. In the perfect world, Troy just needs to field a Shriek and or use that Mimic. That's all you need, right?
Or
Come on.
field a Mimic, knock out Ben Shriek, and then Shriek Ben Shriek.
Exactly. Sure.
For all you guys playing along at home, I know you need a diagram.
Playing along at home. Oh, wow. And a pull that includes, but is not limited to, a Green Lantern human with, let's see, how many sidekicks and how many masks.
He also notably rolled the
Mimic. It was removed from Ben's field, and he has to re-roll that in order to get more ramp.
He did get this thrown brick to roll somehow.
Got it.
Really got him.
Got it.
No
Lots
Mimic.
of momentum.
No Mimics, but I think the momentum will
The momentum's coming when he pushes 4 damage with an attacker that's either going to go through for 5 or blink back into the field and do it again next turn.
Yeah.
It's going to boom boom or ping his Shriek with Throne Brick.
And the
Momentum.
double burst momentum as well.
Draw a die, roll 3.
Gets the mask.
Whoa, and the mask
What a
comes
pull.
back. Oh, now there's 15 minutes left in this, which means they are probably going to go to time unless the game ends. It's round 2
Right
very
now.
quickly. So we may come against another very strange situation where time is a factor.
There's a Ryan single generic.
Just appearing out of nowhere. He
Love
split
it.
it. Look at it. Virtual energy. So in the rulebook nowadays, we actually have a thing called virtual energy.
That's right.
It's pretty cool.
When you split a die, or when yeah. Anyway, it's in the rulebook. It's not relevant currently. Yeah, so all of these masks, obviously really good with this Green Lantern. Oh man,
Ooh,
the
you
question
almost
would
had
have
the
been
question.
insult to injury.
But this is more masks, and that's okay. Because, again, your goal is to kill the opponent. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it's at least going to deal 6 damage when he pushes.
Yeah, I think Ben was definitely thinking more masks with question right now, but later on, when that Green Devil mask goes to use pile, he could use the Gadgeteer ability on question
Right.
to use the mask every turn, essentially.
Spin a sidekick down, make another mask. Exactly, it pushes 1 damage. Think of that as an unblockable sidekick, essentially.
Right,
Which is kind of a cool way to do it.
just more damage.
So looking at the field, there's 1 blocker. He has 2 masks, so he can push back 2 attackers, assuming he's going to push back the Green Lantern human, because otherwise he would die. Troy would be looking at just 3 sidekicks coming through.
What, it's 7? Oh, he does have a blocker. Okay.
Yeah, just the 1 blocker on the Yonti,
So he's
right?
1 damage short.
Let's see, is he?
He's got
This
7
pushes
coming from
1, 2,
masks,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
but the 1 blocker's going to take...
If he pushes with everything, was that not? Oh, no, he.
so he
wait a
can
minute.
bring 2 back with masks, and he can block 1 sidekick.
You are correct. Yeah, that would. Yeah, he was 1 short. You're correct. Yep. The block here.
So interesting. I mean, Ben knew if I don't have lethal, I'm not going to push everything because then you lose your Shriek dominance and all of those beautiful sidekicks that we have seen just be made into masks, also known as damage on this team.
So this is an exciting ending. We're coming to the final throws, it feels like, of this game. That's going to KO. Troy can still do a lot, though, but he is down to 3.
And his Boom Boom is still shrieked. I mean, here's the opportunity, though, right? I mean, if Mimic
Yes,
rolls
there's a
and Boom Boom rolls
possible-
and Hope Summers rolls,
There's a possible swing turn.
things could get really wild here.
I think it might be tough to get lethal, but if he can get the Shriek removed and undo his Boom Boom, there's a possibility for him to at least claw back into this.
Actually, I'm thinking right now. So
Or
If
perhaps there's
he-
not even a chance. I
if
don't
he
know.
gets the action and Mimic and Yanti,
If he gets the action, Mimic, and Yanti, I'm not sure. He's going to finish that sentence when he comes back. I'm not sure, but he might. He's going to scoop and reroll everything. Doesn't need the second Boom Boom. Ben has just enough blockers that I just don't think that... I said he might have a way to claw back into this with this giant bomb kind of a roll, but now that I say that, I'm not sure that's even possible because all Ben needs to do is roll 3 masks. He needs to remove the Green Lantern human is essentially his best bet. Remove that, and I think that's what he's going to try. Let's see. Going to select... I think you have to select... You die if you don't remove Green Lantern human. You might die regardless, but you definitely die if you don't remove Green Lantern human because you're going to have this scenario where all Ben's going to need to do is, do 3 bolts. So, yeah, that's the right selection, I think. Comes up character face, comes up mask. They both get KO'd. So, at the very least, he's not quite dead. Not quite dead.
I'm not dead yet.
He's going to make a sidekick into a mask. Is that enough? Because we can imagine that he's... Oh, yeah, I don't know. This is sort of a pins and needles kind of moment because I'm pretty sure there's just so many ways.
The mimic went off? Did everything just happen?
Mimic went off and removed...
Shriek is gone?
No, because you just die if you do mimic on Shriek. You have to mimic the Green Lantern human, which was the selection, because otherwise Ben just needs to roll 3 masks.
Ah, I see now.
And so he
step
chooses
away
correctly.
for 2 seconds. Lose all context.
Chooses correctly, but unfortunately, I don't think
What
it's...
a ride would that have been if he would have got double character face and turned into a Green Lantern?
It certainly would have been interesting. But again, his boom boom would have been blanked.
Right, but he'd have a lot more attack stats too.
He certainly would have, but the 4 characters in Ben's field would have kind of kept that at bay. Plus, Ben has literally 7 masks, so no attacker could have gone through unblocked.
7's kind of a lot.
Now, if you kill that's the problem though. If you kill the Green Lantern with the Boom Boom draft, as mentioned in chat, then you all that Boom Boom damage just goes away. You need to put that to Ben's face, or you need to just not die this turn. Now, Ben's going to move a 2-cost. I think he just moved the action over with the 2 masks on. I am losing my words. The 2 masks on the global, the Supreme Intelligence Global. Thank you. That's the one. Now the question is, does he have enough masks here to win it? And the answer is no. But does he have enough attacking character dice? We do know there's 1 mask in Troy's reserve pool. Oh, draws and rolls the Gadgeteer, and that might actually do it. That might just be enough attackers. Pay that to field there. He was hoping for 2 masks. I think the 2 masks might have done it as well. Field a 1/1 character. That does no damage. The Green Lantern human does only 1 damage at this point. And there are how many blockers? I've forgotten already. I think it might just be a full push game. 1, 2, 3, and 1 blink back means he's gonna send over 2, and that should just wrap up game 1. So game 1 ends with a win for Ben, but only 8.5 minutes left on the clock. And this is the semifinal. There's 1 more round, the big one, the final after this. This is going to be kind of crazy. They're going to have to realize, there's got to not be much time left, and we have to make hay while the light is up. So let's see what they end up doing here in the Game 2 semifinal round. I think they're trying to determine something. I'm not really sure. Maybe they were just... Ben's just being Ben. He decided to buy Thrown Brick turn 1 going first, and so he rolled all 3 Thrown Bricks and picked the one that rolled Action Face because the last game that did not go well for him. So turn 2, he's going to field a sidekick with the Professor X Global. He's going to pay 3 for a Mimic. He's going to pull the sidekick down with the Fixing Global, and then he's going to create Food and Water to put those into the bag and then pull 1. Did you get all that? He's gonna buy a Shriek and move on. Look, they're playing so fast. I gotta speed commentate. Rerolls here. We got an Action Face. We got double mask. So you want the prepping ability, but didn't end up getting it. 4 masks is not the worst thing in the world, and you are going to be able to cycle something. Actually, you won't be able to cycle that, so you may not even use it. I don't know. You can KO your sidekick there in the field if you want. Reroll that next turn. There's no character die in the field that survives a ping from Thrown Brick, so it's kind of a wasted action, unless he just chooses to ping off one of the sidekicks and roll it again next turn. Looks like he's going to do that. Made a sidekick with the Global, I think. Now he's earmarking these 2. I wonder what he's earmarking to. Let's see. He could probably just use it on the opponent's turn, use it on Troy's turn to move over that Thrown Brick. Supreme Intelligence Global. Oh, wow. So Troy got to go second and pick up 2 Thrown Bricks because that's how he does things. But look, he got the the opposite of his rolls from game 1.
Yeesh.
And ended up just getting 2, 2, and a bolt. This is the most awkward of possibilities for him.
I mean, it could have been the nuts, right? You field shriek and you can hit it twice without knocking it out. But not in today's...
Not in this
luck.
timeline. Not in this timeline.
Maybe in an alternate universe.
Yeah, somewhere. So he's spent one of those generic energy to field. That's stuck on the 2 generic. Then he's spending the second one, along with Boom Boom, who is conveniently not shrieked, as that was a game 1 remnant, to purchase a Boom Boom. He's got the 2 generic. He's going to bring that over and prep it because he can do that. Then he's going to put the D6 that he was using to mark that 1 generic virtual die, move that on over. Sorry about that. Yeah, we got a sidekick. We got lots of stuff rolling up, drawing up. Oh, and this is... Oh, my goodness gracious. We're going to prep some dice here, folks. Did I just say folks? I am not Ross Foster. I can't say folks the same way. That guy says it way better. I think you keep this. I think you just prep your bag. I think he's going to do it, right? No, he's going to scoop and re-roll. I think maybe he's just playing for damage. Nope, he got it back. All right, so it's looking like he's going to field, copy a sidekick, field a sidekick, but he doesn't get the use on the thrown brick. This is kind of a tough turn. Again, you're playing to lose your opponent's life, to drop your opponent's life down low enough.
I mean, you are
He's going to field the sidekick first. Interesting. Oh, of course, Mimic is shrieked. I forgot. I apologize. Things are fast and furious behind the booth as well. So fielding this Mimic doesn't do anything anyway. It's just a 1/1 body, and he can't buy what he wants to buy, which is anything that's more than 3. Which is kind of a bummer. So that goes to waste, and he just keeps 2 energy. He's probably going to prep something with those 2 energy. Passing over. There's only a few minutes left before turns is called. Oh, no Boom Boom comes up, which means no damage starting to be dealt towards Ben. Troy's got to get there, man. Troy has to win the game. Let's see what happens. So 4 being spent to... Oh, the Venerable Dreadnought, looking to remove things. I think that's a really good call in this sped up time frame, because all you got to do is push lethal damage as quickly as humanly possible. Troy is playing just basically on fire. Like, there's fire sale style gameplay from him. It doesn't matter if he dies. It only matters if Ben dies, because he is already down 0-1. And do keep in mind, he was just in this exact scenario. Troy was in this exact scenario in his quarterfinal round, and he managed to pull it out, won the game as it went to turns, after it went to turns, on the last turn, on turn 5, started the 5-turn playoff and picked up the 5-turn playoff win. So Ben is just going to field up more sidekicks. I think he's just going to wall up. He did pick up the win, and he earned the win. That was a really good back-and-forth game 1. Let's see what he continues to do. I think he's had some really, really unlucky rolls as well. He's wanted multiple times on multiple occasions to buy things like Green Devil Mask and to buy things like his win condition, which is Green Lantern Human, and yet we have gotten to see none of that. He's going to field and then push after, of course, passing priority with nothing in the field zone on Troy's side, or in the reserve pool, I should say. He's going to let that 1 damage go through, dropping Troy to 19. I think that's the right play for Troy, because he doesn't care about his life total at this point. He just needs to kill, right? 1 minute 47 seconds, and I'm talking like my mouth is on fire. Look at me go. Both action dice come up, so that's going to be really, really good. He's going to pay the 2 to first prep a Yanti. Unblockable Yanti is a really, really solid play, though you do have to remember there's static field in play. So Static Field is going to push back some of that unblockable damage. Moving right along, pushing that into used. That's going to refill the bag, and then he's going to pull one. It's a sidekick. He rolls up a Shriek and rolls up. That's perfect because you just Shriek the Yanti here, and you're way ahead. It's going to be going to time in about 60 seconds. So you Shriek that and maybe try to put yourself together a definitive win with a couple of points of damage, or at least a making it hard scenario for Troy to kind of pull it out.
I'm going to go up and pay. Round of 4.
So passing over to Troy, we have what is that? The Venerable Dreadnought roll. Oh, but it does not come out. And let's see, did he blank? No, he blanked Boom Boom. He did not blank Yanti. So Yanti's still able to kind of swing through the field. Oh, and Venerable Dreadnought does not roll. You needed that Venerable Dreadnought. He definitely needed that right there. I think that might make things much harder because he's going to have to cycle it back around. Though, he did roll both of the thrown bricks, which makes the cycle a little bit easier. Fielding sidekicks of the next 2 turns. Oh, he's going to buy a second one, and that's solid. That's a very smart play. Fielding that Yanti Pureblood. I wonder if he's going to keep it in the field or push the damage. I think you have to just push the damage. Thrown brick on the something on Ben's side. Going to prep a die. See him prep it. Does he have nothing in the bag? No, he'd have to have something in the bag. There's 3 sidekicks missing. Decisions. He's going to send it somewhere else. I think he had originally picked one thing. And I think that's going to hit time right there.
So how does time work here in the after the old cut?
So again, this is what we just experienced in the quarterfinals. The way that time works is Troy Miller, in the remaining turns, he is turn 0, so there's turn 1 on Ben, turn 2 on Troy, turn 3 on Ben, turn 4 on Troy, turn 5 on Ben. In those remaining turns, he has to get Ben to 0.
Okay.
If he does not get Ben to 0, Ben is the winner.
To absolute 0.
If he gets Ben to 0, he picks up the win for Game 2, and they go to a 5-turn sudden death mode.
For Game 3.
This would be Game 3, 5-turn sudden death. This is what Troy had just done before this. This is Troy's second time in this exact scenario. Now, all Ben has to do is not die, which is a sad thing to say, but at the same time, if all he has to do is not die, and then he can play in the finals of the Dice Masters 2019 World Championship, then I think you just play to not die.
Yeah, I mean, Static Field's going to help here. Green Devil Mask definitely going to help here.
It's nice to meet you.
He gets his Throne Brick and a Mimic and a Shriek, all sort of definitely going to be pieces. I mean, the Mimic's not going to help slow down Troy, but the Shriek and the Green Devil Mask definitely going to put a wrench in Troy's plan to close this out.
Well, right now, Mimic is blanked, so Mimic is literally just a 1/1 blocker, but that's fine.
Which could have been better off as Double Mask now that...
which is what he was hoping for, I think. But he has had some unfortunate rolls with regards to purchasing during this very, very fast game. On multiple occasions, Ben has run into this scenario where he's rolled something as a character, like, for example, Mimic as a character, and 2 energy. So he hasn't been able to buy a 3-drop or a 4-drop or his win condition, which is a 5-drop. So he's made the best of it by rolling sidekicks. Unfortunately, some of those have come in turns where it was like, on a reroll, I'll get 2 sidekicks, and I guess I'll field those because I can't do anything else with them.
Do what you can. Again, and stay alive. Do what you can and stay alive.
So it's unfortunate that Ben has sort of been pigeonholed into this stay alive strategy because I know the player, and I know he doesn't want to be in that scenario. He would rather have just an outright win so that he knows.
He definitely likes his opponent's health at 0, for sure.
You're not wrong. So he's going to make a sidekick here. I think Troy needs to keep doing that. Make as many sidekicks as possible and prep as many things as possible with Thrown Brick. Churn as much as possible. That Boom Boom is blanked, so it's not going to do much work here.
But here comes removal in the form of...
well, Venerable Dreadnought is what he needs, and he's bought 2 of them. This is the second one he's purchased and rolled. The first one did not come up, and so on that turn he immediately purchased a second one. So let's see how he goes from here.
Dreadnought or bust.
I think he really does need Dreadnought or bust, and comes back double.
And no Throne Brick either. It's going to kind of slow his hammer down. the Boom Boom was just going to be there as an extra range damage if Dreadnought was going to roll.
So this is turn 2, if you're keeping track.
There's a die in the center of the table. We can't see it because it's too centralized.
Turn 2. So he is going to ping there with the thrown brick, which will do an attune damage. Let's see where he puts it. I would imagine he'd put it to the face at this point. You kind of need everything to go to the face. The face is the place, as they say, in aggro decks and teams and things.
Straight to the ogre face.
Someone in chat said, who knew a Texan could talk so fast? Well, we do, like livestock auctions, don't we?
Yeah.
Texans, us Texans do. I think we do those. I mean, I've never been to one myself, but those guys can talk pretty fast.
It's true. I'm not sure that they say full extended sentences or even words, but the things that come out sound pretty neat.
I will say I attempted earlier on accident to say folks, and I realized, geez, I'm terrible at saying folks. I'm just going to leave that one to Ross Foster.
Nice.
He says folks way better.
Yep, folks, we can do it.
There he goes. You just got to say folks.
Folks,
come on, folks.
There you go.
Maybe I'm
yes,
I'm not
a slip
Texan
of the
enough.
tongue would be detrimental.
I'm not Texan enough to put the L there, I guess, or to just take away the L. We don't say that.
Us Virginians,
folks, come on, folks.
There you go. Us
come
Virginians,
on,
we just say what we want.
Let's go, folks.
So Green Devil Mask, again, just pinning Troy to 3 or less characters.
Yeah, this is turn 3, so this has been second to last turn.
And again,
he's got 5
so
sidekicks
far,
in the field. He's at 19.
He's definitely looking like stay alive mode is working out. Like we said, we know that he'd much rather bring the hammer through and take Troy to 0, but I don't think with the rolls he's had that's really an option to get into more turns.
This is a pivotal moment. Being able to refield that shriek is hugely important.
It's one more layer of things that Troy has to disassemble before he can start assembling his win.
Indeed.
Top 16 warfare.
Plays the thrown brick and preps the static field. You got to buy that static field. He's going to fix that to a mask, which, if you think about it, it's a 1/1 blocker or it's a push something in the attack zone out of the attack zone. So they act similarly, but this one's good for unblockable Yanti, which is in the field. He technically had 3 others, but it's pretty
Global,
wide open.
Cake Global and Supreme Intelligent? No, sorry.
He's going to make a sidekick.
So
He's
much
gonna make a
dice spinning.
sidekick.
Yeah, makes a sidekick. And then
we
it's
have
his
not
turn.
even talked about the world-class dexterity of all of these dice athletes.
Right?
Look at them rotate the dice with, minimal amounts of fingers. If it's me, I just grab it with my haunches and slowly spin the thing. Why did I say haunch? Wait, I don't grab it that way. Never mind. We're gonna move on from that statement.
Dreadnought's here. Hey yo, moving on.
Okay, good. This is actually very good for him because he is going to need to push
These
some
two
damage.
Yantis are
He
critical.
needs characters.
There's one.
He gets 1, and he's got 2 thrown bricks, so he could actually push
Pretty
significant
significant damage. Nothing game-ending, but in the right direction, especially removing the Shriek again, pulling back a layer of protection.
I think this is his final turn. I think it's over after
He
this.
gets 1 and Ben gets 1.
Oh, GDM triggers too. There was a GDM the whole time, so yeah, this is going to be.
Oh, boom, boom.
This is likely just going to be it.
Field's
going to get that in
Dreadnought.
there. He's going to get the character face that he had on that Yanti.
Look at that quick spin. Did you see this quick spin?
I'm telling you, man, these guys are world-class players. In all seriousness, both of these guys are great players and great guys.
I agree.
He's going to deal that damage there.
Definitely super skilled in the game. Never trying to pull something slick over on you. Just usually outplaying me. I can only speak for myself, but I am generally outplayed.
He's going to push that attack damage, but we know it's not going to be enough. He's got the 3 masks to push it back, and that is going to be the game. Ben is able to skirt through that final turns-based game and pick up the win 2-0. Technically 2-0. Troy did a sick, amazing job of fighting his way through a quarterfinal that looked exactly like that one and make it up to the semifinals where he almost pulled it off again. In fact, on that last turn, had GDM not been active, he might have been able to push some serious damage, but it was just too little too late. That first game being a really really fast-paced, but long game. Slowed everything down and made that game 2 a little bit too crunched for him to catch back up.